Hey everyone, welcome back to Adobe Live here at Symposium 2019. This afternoon we have Mark and Rames who are
Hi.
in to talk a little bit about their work, their process, and a little kind of collaborative pieces in the works with Adobe, which is super exciting. Maybe let's get started by chatting a little bit about how you've been finding Symposium so far.
Wow. For me, it's life-changing, I'll say, because it's my first time being so busy in the whole week. It started off with HP, where I need to roam around Sydney to
Yep.
take shots of videos, photography and stuff like that using the Z book. And then even yesterday and today, I was busy at the HP booth, demonstrating my live photo manipulation. It was good, and then it ended just now for the experience center, where I literally spent 20 minutes sharing all my thought process, literally from where I started. For example, I'm a business student, so I started from there, and then I'll become a designer and stuff like that. It's super great.
Cool. I think
Yeah.
we actually have some footage of that, so maybe we can just preview that real quick. So what are we looking at here?
Oh, here. Right now, I'm working on the collaboration that I've done with HP. It's a concept where I try to portray my imagination. Literally, how do you showcase anyone's imagination to a piece of art? So that's what I've done. Share all my principle when it comes to design. My top 10 list of stuff that I take note of before even start opening up Photoshop.
Cool, exciting.
Yeah.
Mark, what have you been enjoying?
It's hard to follow up what he's just done there. I think, yeah, because I've been here before, so I'm just this is amazing. I love coming up here every time.
Yeah.
I'm based down in Melbourne, so it's always nice to come up to Sydney and meet everybody up here. There's kind of a team we work with Adobe, so it's kind of great to catch up with all these inspiring creatives all the time. But it's been great. The keynote, creative keynote yesterday was fantastic. Some really good speakers, like Chi Ryan, Mike Rigby, and the rest. Sorry, I can't remember all the names at the moment, but it was brilliant. It's always you always leave here with kind of a sense of empowerment and kind of inspiration that you kind of go back and address your work again, which is so it's really refreshing, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard to beat. I think it really helps you kind of take a break from your work and like start afresh and reset sometimes.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we're all quite guilty of kind of working too much and kind of being in your own head, especially when you work for yourself. Spend a lot of time kind of in your own head and kind of working by yourself. It's not a big collaborative issue a lot of the time, so. I think it's nice kind of coming up here and getting to talk to what everyone else is doing too, because you don't really get to see it. Social media gives you an insight, but
it's
sitting
not
down
the
and having a
same.
chat to people is much better.
Much better.
Yeah, much better.
Maybe actually, while we're on you, we can start by talking a little bit about the type of work you do and your process tools, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'm an illustrator, obviously. My work's quite. I was going to say colourful, but it's not really anymore. I've kind of gone down this lately. I've kind of gone down this little bit more of a personal delve into limiting artwork back to kind of one or two colours to kind of, I suppose it's just an exploration stage to work on more of the things that you don't really necessarily work with when you're working with colour. So it allows you to focus on more of the negative space and the composition and elements that I suppose is just adding to my work, which is nice. And I'm starting to get a lot of kind of feedback on that too, which is really helpful too. But obviously still there's a lot of colour involved in my work for client basis. So kind of do a lot of editorial, a lot of kind of online, a lot of web illustration, clients, branding, there's a whole heap of it really. I'm not really focused on one area, which is nice. It kind of keeps it nice and fresh.
How did you get started in illustration?
It's quite a journey I've had. I started as I studied animation years ago, so it was computer and classical animation. And then I kind of delved out of that, and I came into a really bad time in Ireland. It was out of a recession, so there was hardly any work. So I worked for a little bit, and then did a few little gigs, and kind of moved up to London with kind of hope of chasing that. But I ended up going down the graphic design route when I got to London, which was a bit of a strange route because I never studied it or anything. So,
You're right.
But then it was all self-taught, and I kind of worked across several agencies, across UI, UX, anything really that was design related. And worked across several agencies over there before moving to Melbourne, where I never really knew illustration was kind of like a viable career path almost. But once I kind of started doing a lot of research into it, I was like, well, I can actually do this for a job, which is awesome. So I kind of just got stuck in, just jumped into the deep end, 3.5 years ago now. And I've just, I haven't looked back since. So I thought, now's the thing is I don't think I'll be able to do anything else. So I think I found what I really want to do, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that you take any of that graphic design stuff that you maybe touched on into your work much?
Yeah, I'd say so. There's going to be an intuition of kind of all your skills that you've used over what 5 6 years. They're going to put it into somehow, whether subconsciously or directly. Like I'm quite like neat with the way I work, and I think that's come from the graphic design element. Because I found like when you're like say you're working designing a website, I always found I had to be very kind of in touch with kind of everything being in a place or everything have to live somewhere, because otherwise it gets a bit messy and a bit chaotic. And I think that's how I deal with my creativity. Everything kind of has to have a place and somewhere to live, so it makes it easier for me to push out the subject a bit quicker.
Yeah.
So I think like with the graphic design thing, I'm a very like everything likes to be nice and centered, and like I had that real like I suppose designer's touch in some ways.
It's kind of the craft almost sometimes, I think. You kind of like just add that little finishing touch to things.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the worst thing too,
Also true.
When you're working for yourself, you tend to spend, or not spend too much time, but maybe overanalyze a piece, and you can kind of spend too long working on it then.
Yeah. We've got some of your stuff here on Instagram.
Great.
I'd love to know a little bit more about maybe some of the themes that are influencing your work. Because I think like recently I follow, I've noticed you're kind of doing some of this sort of like Greek mythology sort of stuff, which is really
we were only
cool.
talking about this earlier on actually, and it's just because Rames' work is quite like mythological too in a sense, and we're kind of saying that like lately, I don't know, I've gone down this path where everything's almost like you want it to kind of look like a lino cut, or that kind of stripped back, just single color, focus on composition, shape, and silhouette. That's technically what it is a silhouette, right? So I don't know, it's just been a really nice journey to kind of come away from all the colour and all the details I've been working on. My work's never really been massively detailed, but to come back from all that colours, allow just, I don't know, when you're working on with a lot of colour, you tend to kind of, the colour can get in the way sometimes of what the message you're trying to convey.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got one colour, it allows you don't really think about that. You kind of go directly to what you want to portray straight away.
Yeah, I found recently I start to design just in black and white just to make it easier.
Really?
And also I think when you're doing like product design and user testing, colour's really subjective. Someone can just be like, I just really hated this experience. And you're like, why? Because it's pink or whatever it is. So kind of removing that element can make it a bit simpler for things.
I think so. And I think even like you said, subjectivity there, and I think even I've only got 2 colours, you still get people who don't like it because subjectivity is always going to be a part, but you can't please everybody, can you? But I think this is more of a personal kind of experimentation myself, and I get to, I suppose, do something a little bit different for a while, which is nice.
This is one of the ones you posted recently, which I really love. I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about your process and what goes into creating something like this.
Yeah, it's quite linear and quite simple. Like I'm quite a conceptual person, so I'm always drawing, sketching all the time. So there's always a notebook with me. And then there's times I kind of maybe after a day's work, I'd kind of sit back and be like, oh, I kind of want to do a piece of my own work now, just to wind down almost.
Yeah.
So like this was one piece that I'd done. I don't know, it was just like a meditating pose. And I think it was maybe me trying to create a bit of calm in my own day. I don't know where it came from. A lot of the subconscious in my work. So I kind of then worked on it a bit further and developed this piece. But in terms of the process, it was from sketch. I bring everything then onto the iPad nowadays mainly. Into clean up in Adobe Sketch, which is great for just super clean sketches and kind of working them up there. And then that's also great for my client work because you can send them directly across via PDF. It's fantastic. But once it's then the color, I just worked it up in Photoshop, and they don't take a massive amount of time, which is really calming too, because I'm usually kind of like, with client work, you can kind of spend hours and hours on. Whereas these, you kind of get to sit back and, I don't know, let the color take over and just, it could be a half an hour, could be an hour.
Do you get into that nice flow?
Yeah, I think so. And the flow, I think, is super important for you to create a piece, because I'll know within the first 10 minutes if I'm not going to like the piece.
Yeah.
And I'll walk away from it. And maybe I'll come back. I don't often go back to pieces that I've done. They're either done or that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Rames, you do something a little bit different. In fact, quite a bit different, I would say.
It's very different.
Very different. So you do photo manipulation mostly.
Yeah.
And we talked quite a bit about this on Wednesday. So if you want more of Rames, there is a whole live stream up and you can go check that out.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe for those who might have missed it, who aren't quite familiar with your work, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Currently, I'm working at Mind Valley. The company is based in Malaysia. Full-time job as an art director. I handle UX, UI stuff.
Okay.
On this side, when I go home, I will wear a different hat, which is what I love to do, my passion, my everything, which is photo manipulation. I discovered this back then 17 years ago, I think, 17 years ago. It was that point of time where after I graduate from business and I find out that, wow, is there a reason why I'm not enjoying every single class that I go to? But I did get a good A and whatever not, marks, credits, stuff like that. But deep inside, the happiness is not there. And I discovered that design is something I should, always wanted to do. And then I discovered that why don't I just download a Photoshop and see what I can do. Then I started to imitate other people's work. That's how it got started, just to make sure that I'm comfortable and I fall in love with it. And that's where it started. Over the years, I will try to change the style that I work, depending on the theme for that year or depending on my mood. It started off of me being a superhero. That's how it started. And
By
then
scroll down, is
Yeah,
it?
by scroll, like literally like many years ago.
Okay, we don't
And
have
then-
time
Yeah,
to
we
keep
got no time
scrolling.
for that one. But yeah, currently I'm exploring on the Hindu mythology. It's very, very unique. Being brought up in Hindu family, I'm exposed to many different gods. And every time I stare at the photos, I feel like I should see a different perspective of them rather than just staring at one single photo. And to also be able to tell a story out of it. So every single stuff that I'm posting on Instagram has a story behind it. So it kind of like educate people. And I kind of like also help people to reimagine stuff because based on the comments and likes, they keep saying that, oh my God, I didn't know we can think like that. I think that's a very, very nice thing for them to say. And they need to know that they can. So
Yeah.
these are stuff that I've been sharing on my talks. This is the reason why I even posted on my behind the scenes whenever I create stuff, because I want people to know that it's as easy as it is. Like you are allowed to think outside the box.
I've actually got I think, little PDF here,
Yeah.
which, I'll zoom in a little bit on, but these are really good. And this is actually the one you went through in the
Yeah,
live stream.
so this is what I've done for the Adobe Live on Wednesday. Basically taking all these images on the left-hand side and merge them together to create a story out of it. So this is for the collaboration that I've done for Adobe. It's called Adobe on Color. So basically to represent Malaysia. I feel that's a nice thing to share with my followers, especially because most of them are not from Malaysia. And I think it's nice to just, it's also like a flashback, like me growing up in Malaysia, seeing all these colors. It's nice to put them all in one frame. And the concept of 3Ds as well, because you can see the Malayan tiger and tapira coming out from the screen. I think it's nice to do that. And yeah, a lot of Malaysian outside Malaysia love it. They kind of like recall their memories. Yeah.
And so you've got basically all your assets here. You've painstakingly deep etched so
Yeah,
that you can drop them in.
yeah. So I have to do that for the Wednesday's Adobe Live, obviously, because it took me 7 hours to create this, and I managed to get it done in 1 hour. So
It's amazing.
so happy.
And then you've got a couple of other ones here, which is really cool to see, just the before and after.
Yeah,
and the process.
so this is a very quick one. The before image was actually a collaboration with Adobe Insider from Singapore named Gerald. So
we just had him on.
yeah, exactly. So he kind of like gave few photos, and I kind of like this one, and I said, wow, this is a massive potential for me to recreate this. And he was like, are you sure there's nothing I see that you can do with it? And I'm like, okay, why don't we step back and zoom out? That's the concept that I have in mind. And literally, I placed the whole jeep outside another planet. And then what if he's taking the sunset shot outside the space? So that was it. Yeah.
Cool.
This was really interesting to see as
Thank
well,
you.
because I mean, we talked a bit about you using your daughter as a model sometimes.
Yeah. Soon to
obviously you're-
use her photo. Yeah.
But you kind of combine, and this is where that kind of digital manipulation comes in.
Yeah. So here's 2 photos of the same baby. I cut off the baby's head at the bottom so that I can replace with
In
an
the
eagle
nicest way
head.
possible.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is actually it's a real god. I mean, in Hinduism, where I try to reimagine him in a baby form and riding Garuda. So we've seen this picture. So the thing is, right, when it comes to Hindu mythology, you always see them in an adult form. It's very hard for us to reimagine them in baby form. So this is me trying to use my imagination and then share with my followers. They were like, oh my God, yeah. I'm sure if he was a baby, he should look like this. That's what they said.
Yeah.
So it kind of like motivate me to do even more mythology, because I just want to break that barrier of thinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really good. This one was also great.
Yeah. So this is my wife and my baby. So I kind of give, my wife is superb when it comes to posing and stuff. So that's me giving direction. Can you hold the baby over there? I want to make sure the camera doesn't move. I don't think so. I have a tripod. I was actually using I stack out all the books and put the camera over there. And I told her, you just need to hold it. She has no idea what you're going to do. And she was actually looking at a blank space, if you can see at the bottom of the picture. And right after 2 or 3 hours, I showed her this, and she was like, yes, this I can never imagine that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
I know baby is floating, but I don't know what's happening. So yeah.
You mentioned actually she gives you good feedback on.
Yeah. So you see, we creative see in one angle, even though it's different perspective and whatever not. We creative see it in a different angle. Like my wife, as not a creator, like she's not creative, but she see things differently as well, right? They have different angles, and then she will tell me things like, "Hey, I don't think so. You should do this or do that because it doesn't look real." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" Then when I correct it, I'm like, "Yes, this kind of feedback that I need." Right? Sometimes you're so into your art, you feel like this is the perfect art ever. So
Yeah.
I don't like to do that. And whenever there's a mistake, I'm so happy with that one, so that I can I can redo those mistakes to my next art, so that I keep growing. Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, how do you get feedback?
I don't really want to get feedback most of the time.
Does
I think as
anyone?
most creatives,
No.
Nobody
no,
wants.
it's true, isn't it? Like I don't know. Like I suppose like social is such a big melting pot now, isn't it? That you kind of get feedback whether you like it or not sometimes, whether it's
Unsolicited.
positive or negative or whatever else. But I think like negative feedback's super important. You know, like I said, we spend so much time working by ourselves. Who's going to give you the feedback apart from yourself? You know, and in your mind's eye, you're perfect. You know, in what you do a lot of the time. Well, not all the time, but you know what I mean. You don't really have like an art director sitting over your shoulder, kind of giving you that other perspective.
Yeah.
But I've recently actually just moved into a new studio, so like I've been working at home for 3 years by myself. So, my studio mate is a designer and videographer and animator and does everything. So it's really helpful to be able to kind of, you know, when you're working on a piece, you can kind of just push your chair back and kind of look at it yourself and then go, hey, can you come over and just look at this for a second? And it can just save you so much time. But just kind of giving that different perspective, and I might just go, just change it. And you go, oh, like 2-second
it.
change.
Yeah.
You go, that's
Yeah.
all I needed.
Yeah,
You know, something
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
niggling you for hours.
Yeah.
But I think feedback's pretty important. Like I'll often ask everybody around me what do they like. I've always kind of been that kind of designer or that illustrator that I like to kind of share stuff
Yeah.
because I find that what's the point in keeping it locked away or just you know having your own opinion about it all the time.
True.
You know?
Before we get into collaboration, I think something I'm kind of interested to talk to you both about is, I guess, how do you go about establishing styles? Like part of this collaboration is bringing two styles that are quite different together. But maybe could you guys talk a little bit, maybe Mark to start with, about how you kind of got to the point where you felt like this was your style?
Yeah, I don't know where you actually arrive with your style. Like I get I get asked this quite a lot, and I find I don't know. I think it's just like practice and practice and practice that you kind of arrive at something that you kind of feel comfortable doing. And I know for me, my kind of practice is drawing. And like when I was starting out as an illustrator, I was so determined to kind of like start producing work that I really liked all the time that I was just creating content in terms of sketching all the time. And you'd be like kind of like seeing things, and you kind of be mimicking them and then kind of doing it in your own kind of style because you can never see it exactly as someone else. And then you kind of, the more and more you do it, you're kind of starting to enjoy certain elements, and then you're kind of redrawing and like, oh my God, that's actually really nice. I quite like that, you know. It's very hard for an artist to say that themselves. I think that's when you start finding your style, is when you start enjoying something yourself. So you start recreating that over and over again. But I personally think it's just practice and practice and practice and practice, you know. Because nobody, like somebody might even 30 years down the line might not have their own style. And like even look work now, I think it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a fixed, like, you know, my work is mine, but I think it's constantly evolving all the time, which is amazing. You never want to be that same kind of artist forever. You want to kind of evolve.
And you've talked a bit about that too, in terms of
I did.
evolving.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Whatever Mark said. Yeah, practice makes perfect. Not really perfect. It gets you better.
Yeah.
Yeah. For myself, how I got started is that me love watching superheroes. You know, seeing all these superheroes like Marvels and whatever not, and then go back home trying to imitate myself to become the superhero. It's nice, you know, to see myself as a superhero, but then I don't see any form of like a message to it. It's just me. People like, oh, can you become this superhero? They kind of request. But the thing is, as time goes by, I feel like I should deliver art with a message, because it's very important to just educate people, you know, give back to the community, and slowly evolve where I know photo manipulation, it's literally taking few photos together, but then rather than just random photos together and then just for sake of, wow, this is nice, when you infuse a message, it's literally changed the whole thing. And people will take different stories out of this, you know. People will see, or from different angle, they get, oh, I get this message, you know, I like that. And then literally for past many years, I've changed the whole way of me working, so that people can kind of enjoy my way of creating things. I think it's nice to see from their perspective because most of this art literally right now being printed all over the world and they've been using it for a lot of reasons and they do tag me back and I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next kind of exciting thing for you guys is your collaboration.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what was it, Made Here, I believe it's called?
Yes,
Yep,
made
it
here.
is.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, I'll let Mark explain first.
Yeah, we've kind of only started recently, like in the past week and a bit, started chatting about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's quite interesting because like you've talked about, it's kind of styles being kind of so different. So we kind of had to sit down and like any true collaboration, kind of sit down and kind of flesh out a bit. And it's quite interesting because we kind of, how do we put those two styles together? And I think that was our first issue.
Yeah.
But I think we've got a couple of kind of strong ideas that we're developing now that we can put together. And I think like the obvious thing straight away was the storytelling and the mythology that you're kind of addressing. And that happens that I'm kind of doing similar things at the moment. So it's kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's just kind of bringing in a new spin and kind of coming into your world.
Yeah,
Almost, you know, but bringing in my elements into your world. So
That's amazing. I got a goosebump here.
just one.
Yeah.
Single good.
Yeah, so it's going to be. I think it's going to be really fun, you know, and I think there's going to be a bit of work involved in it, but I think at the end it's going to look really cool.
Yeah, I just can't wait. Reasons because I love how both who involved in this mythology thing coming together to create a new dimension. I feel because, like you see, right, my art is full of photos, like very digital art, very heavy, and his one is illustration based. So when you merge this together, I'm sure it's something gonna spark out something. But I can confirm you, it's gonna be like mind blowing. Literally, I've seen his sketches. And he kind of told me, and I can.
You set a
kinda
very high bar.
No,
yeah,
literally,
so it's going to say no pressure.
no pressure, but literally going to be a very good one.
Yeah. Do you guys collaborate much just in your general work with other people?
Yeah, I've done quite a bit throughout time. I suppose it's quite interesting to kind of bring someone else in to your world and kind of see from their perspective. And I think like animation is a natural kind of collaboration for my work. And obviously did a lot of animation myself, but I don't really like animating. So it's really nice for someone else to come in and like see what you've created and then, you know, because you can never anticipate where they're going to go with it. So it's really fascinating to, I suppose, take the movement and kind of bring it to somewhere completely different that I would never even been able to see. So then you see that and you're blown away by your own work being, you know, portrayed from a different angle. But I think it's just good fun. And I think like even animators love animating illustrators' work because it's not their illustration too, you know, it's something fun to work on. Yeah.
Do you ever feel nervous sort of handing your work over to someone? Or?
Yeah, I think you have to have that certain amount of trust sometimes, right? Because otherwise, I don't know. I think people can. I've talked about this quite a bit. That you know, people can take your work no matter what. Anyway, because you put it up on social. That's the jeopardy that we roll out every day, isn't it? But yeah, I suppose there is a certain amount of nervousness that when they bring it back to you, and you're going to like it. Like how awkward would that be if you worked on a collaboration and you didn't like what they've created?
I know.
But I think like that's important, the collaborative process that you're kind of talking throughout, right? That you don't get this big massive surprise at the end as well.
Yeah. Do you guys have any sort of plans for like how you're going to facilitate that conversation? Like, because you're kind of obviously based in two different countries.
Yeah. Thank you to Mark. He kind of like initiated this. So he said hello from there. Even though we are from different countries and whatever not, with the current technology, literally we don't have to see each other. We kind of like already start up. We kind of warmed up already through emails, and then we met up here, and then he sketched some stuff, which is super awesome. And then I kind of like foresee that this is something that is aligned literally in the terms of made here. It kind of defined that, and it's so nice to work with him, reasons because. My first collaboration was with Gerald from Adobe Insiders from Singapore. That me transforming his photos into something else. So for me, this collaboration gave me a lot of potential in terms of thinking as well. Because now from photography, I'm going to change style to illustration. So how do you combine both worlds together? I think again, it's a good thing to my brain. I feel.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun though.
It's going to be fun.
I think we've like initiated quite a bit too to make the process a lot smoother going forward. I think like building up for me personally conceptually based, like, and you're quite conceptually based too, as you were talking about earlier on. So I think like we work quite similarly in terms of the kind of trajectory.
Yes.
So I think those sketches that we've rolled out today are just concepts, and we've got kind of a bold idea of where we're going. I think going forwards it'll be smooth because I think we were talking earlier on that you're going to mock up kind of like a real rough idea of kind of what you see as well.
Yeah.
And that will kind of help the final little piece before we kind of work on the piece together. So I don't want to give too much of it away either.
Amazing sketches.
When can you give away when roughly? We maybe be able to see something.
Oh, I think the next couple of weeks we
Yeah,
said, and we're
yeah,
going to try
definitely.
and be bold and brash and go for it. You know, I think we've done a good bit of work over here.
Yeah,
at
I love the
Symposium
progress
already.
so far.
Yeah. So hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Cool, exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's
All
going
right.
to be fun.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for having us.
Yeah.
You're welcome. It's been great to talk to you. I hope everyone else has enjoyed hearing from these guys. And yeah, keep an eye out for their collaboration soon to come.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right, well, we have our last Insiders session coming up right after this. We're taking a really short break. We'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes.